Hey, what's up? In this video I'd like to talk to you about the watch that I use to record my running and cycling activities. I use the Garmin Forerunner 735XT. I've been having this watch for about 1.5 years. In this video I'd like to give you my impressions about 1.5 years of having used this watch, because I feel like most reviews, they just give you their impressions after just having bought this watch. So after having used this watch for about 1.5 years, I would like to show you some of the functions that work well and some of the functions that don't work well, and also show you how the watch looks like after 1.5 years of extensive use. Okay, let's first check what the watch looks like. So this is the screen with the time and the date, and for the moment there are no issues with the screen. There are no scratches or anything, even though I did not use any protection. And also the background light, as you can see, it still works. If we take a closer look at the wristband though, you can see that there are some problems. Here one of the parts to fix the wristband has broken off, and the one just on top, which I'm using right now, will also break off soon. And actually this was the reason why I bought this watch, because on my old Garmin Forerunner 410 the wristband was also broken. Another problem with the wristband is on the other side of the wristband, which looks fine as such, but the clip to fix it onto your arm is missing. Let me show you what I mean. So when I'm wearing the watch, you see that for the wristband that stands over on this side, the clip is missing to fix it. So this is always either dangling, or I have to find some other way to fix it here. And for the moment I've been using a paper clip actually for doing this, but this is only a temporary solution and I will have to see what else I can do. So let's next talk about some of the functions of the watch. So here on the back of the watch you have these 3 dots which measure your heart rate. However, the heart rate monitor is, in my opinion, one of the weakest points of this watch. Let me show you an example from some recent activities that I did. So this is an example of a recent activity I did. I did a 1 mile warm-up, then 5 times 800 meters interval, and a 1 mile cool down. And ideally your heart rate should be an exact mirror of this pattern. So your heart rate should look exactly the same as this pattern. But if I overlay this with the heart rate here, we can see that the heart rate is just completely random. In fact, according to the heart rate data, I had a higher heart rate during warm-up and cool-down than I had during the intervals. And then here towards the end you have this sudden increase from 135 to 157 while I was just going at a steady pace. So this is definitely an indication that these data are wrong. They are simply wrong. Here just a quick second example. So again, I did a 1 mile warm-up, then 5k at a faster pace, and then a 1 mile cool down. And again, if we overlay the heart rate, we can see that there's absolutely no resemblance between the heart rate data and the pace pattern. In fact, the heart rate suddenly starts to increase after the interval, which is odd, of course. And then again, also towards the end, increasing heart rate, and we have this low point here. There's absolutely no resemblance between the pace pattern and the heart rate data, and this happens with every single interval activity. So besides that, there are some functions that the watch always records as long as you are wearing it. I will show you my custom settings. So first of all, it records the number of steps you do in a given day. And the distance, and also here this little number underneath, it's the goal that the watch has set for your daily steps. So you can see that today I reached my goal. And it also records the distance that you move per day, and my watch is set to metric units, so these refer to kilometers. So this is my last activity that you can see. Then there's a daily summary where you can see the activity of today, the number of steps and the number of calories that you have burned. Wait, let me turn back on the background lights. And other than that, it also records your heart rate. It records your current heart rate, it records your resting heart rate, and here underneath you can see a chart of how your heart rate developed over the past 4 hours. And other than that, you have the starting screen with the battery life, the time, and the date. So if you push this button to the upper right here, you can start recording an activity. And this watch, it can record running. If you want to change that, you have to go in the activity menu, and you can choose between running, running indoor, biking, biking indoor, swimming in a pool, and swimming in open water. And also this watch can record triathlons. I've never tried this function, so I cannot say anything about that. As I said, I have only used this watch for running and cycling. And when the GPS is ready, you will receive a notification that the GPS is ready and you can start recording your activity. Other functions, if we go to the menu settings, are the activity settings that are specific to the activity. So for either, now it's set to running because my last activity was running. But you can also do the same for cycling and swimming. You can select the data screens that you would like to see during your activity. So right now I have 2 screens. You can see the third screen is off. My first screen has a layout with 4 fields, but that's also customized. It shows the distance, the timer, the average lap time, and the heart rate. And the second field, here you can choose what each of these fields should show. And then the second screen, the layout has 3 fields where you can see the lap time, the lap pace, and the lap distance, which is pretty handy, for example, for interval training. But these are customary, so you can change it in whichever way you like. For example, if we turn on a new screen and we go to the layout, we can choose, for example, if we choose 4 fields, and then you can choose the elevation, the positive elevation, average heart rate, and the heart rate percentage, or the maximum of your heart rate percentage at which you are running. And similarly for cycling, you also have a whole lot of customary settings. For example, if we change the activity to cycling, activity settings, data screens, so for me it shows at the moment the distance, the timer, and the speed on the first screen, and on the second screen it shows the lap distance, lap time, and lap speed. However, if we pretend that we turn on another screen, for example here, we can choose a whole lot of other functions. Your relative effort according to Strava data, your average heart rate, and also your percentage of the maximum heart rate, just as for the running data actually. So, and as I showed you earlier, you can also select elevation settings, and this is another problem of the watch because the Garmin Forerunner 735 XT does not have an ultramatic barometer, so it's not very good at measuring altitude changes. Third example of something that I sometimes struggle with this watch that I would like to show you is the GPS. So as I said, when you go to the activity setting, you get a notification when the GPS is ready and you can start recording, and then it automatically goes to the data screens that you have selected. And the GPS is something that I have sometimes struggled with, not too often, but let me show you another example of what I mean. Activity here where I went to the forest and I just ran 4 times the exact same round. I started at the same spot and finished at the same spot, and as you can see here, it looks like, first of all, like I finished at another spot than I started, which is not correct. And you can also see it looks like I ran 3 different rounds, which is not at all the case. And I put a little note here, the GPS was completely off after 25k. You can see this also on all the other measures. For example, this is the elevation chart. After 25k it's just completely freaky. If we look at the pace chart of this activity, we can also see that After approximately 25k, the watch just completely lost touch with what was going on, which is of course related to the problems with the GPS. But again, this has not happened too often, but it did happen from time to time, and usually this happens when you do trail runs. Finally, another function that comes in very handy with this watch that I actually do appreciate is that you can save courses in the watch and then use the watch like a GPS navigation system to run this course. So for example, if you go to the menu, we can go to the navigation. If you select this menu, you can select to go back to start, then the watch will guide you to go back to your starting point, or you can select the course. The courses are saved through your Garmin Connect via transfer, so you can create a course in your Garmin Connect profile and then transfer it to your watch when you synchronize. So, and then for example, if we select this course, which is the 100k that you can see in my other video, then you can say do course, and the watch will guide you through the course. It will tell you exactly when to turn, for example, or you can see the course on the map. And finally you can see the course on an elevation map. Which of course during a race can be handy, because maybe when things get really tough you don't remember the elevation map you studied before the race, and then of course you can check the elevation map to see where there are the hard parts. So yeah, there you have it, the review of the Garmin Forerunner 735 XT after 1.5 years of use. My feelings towards this watch are more negative than positive. I mean, on the one hand, it has a lot of functions, it measures a lot of things daily. You can use it for running, swimming and cycling. You have a lot of information that is stored for you. It also monitors your sleep, which I didn't even show you in the video. So it's really interesting to see all of those functions. However, I think that a watch for this price should do better, at least for the basic functions like GPS and heart rate. Also, they should use some material that is made for heavy use. You know, after 1.5 years, I think the wristband should not be totally broken already. It's well, now I either have to replace the wristband, which will be expensive, or I will have to buy yet another watch, because my last two Forerunners the wristband broke. So yeah, overall I think that a watch for this price should do better.